Hello. Hey. Good to see you. Today's message is about consciousness and consciously engaging what consciousness is. So it sounds a little circular. Maybe it is. Let's go with it, though. Let's explore that. But before we do, as always, come to your basic breath. So that's in and out only through the nose. Longer exhale than inhale. Tongue is at the roof of the mouth. And bring a portion of your awareness to the diaphragm. So I like keeping a bit of my awareness right here at the solar plexus. This is an effort, well, maybe not an effort, but it's a pointer that allows the body to be in continuous participation with all that you are, all that you're doing, all that is happening around you. Your body is bringing in and synthesizing tremendous amounts of information, and the brain is only picking up maybe just a fraction. And so when you invite your whole self to be present continuously, you feel much more part of what life is for you and for all of consciousness. And so now let's get into consciousness. I stated way back, I forget, it's a class I taught, I don't know, decades ago, about, I stated that you are exactly what consciousness wants you to be. And I got a lot of pushback with that. And I can say that for myself. And let's explore it and move deeper onto it. So consciousness, all of consciousness is a flow. And whatever you're experiencing, whether you like it or dislike it, is what consciousness wants to see. Whatever you're experiencing, whether it's comfortable, uncomfortable, whether it's pleasurable or displeasurable, whether it's violent, whether it's painful, whether it's sensual, all of these things are what consciousness is. Now, I've mentioned in the past that we are at the far distal end of all that consciousness is, and that puts us at a place where we have stripped away multiple dimensions so that we're down to 3 dimensions. And so with just 3 dimensions to work with, we have these things like time and physicality and limitation and the tactileness, physical experience, a sense of not knowing what will be happening next, because we've stripped away that part of who we are in order to be out here. And so we come to different conclusions than a consciousness that knows exactly what's going to happen, and where all of time is always happening, always, where there is no sense of linear time. And so when we exist in a place where linear time is very much a commander of who and what we do, then that brings in an entirely different flavor to what consciousness normally, or what's normal really, in multiple dimensions could ever really come up with. And especially when we have this physical body that is very dependent on so many minute things. We need air. We need minute, so many things. We need air. We need food. We need shelter. We need temperature range, that's comfortable. We need love, So all these things that impact a sense of being physical do not exist with wider consciousness. So consciousness is watching, is participating, is always here. And so when you begin to merge with this consciousness, when you start to wake up, when you start to really feel yourself as something part of, as being something much, much greater than just this small physical experience, then you also are diving into the flow. Now, part of the issue, or part of the problem, is that we've created an entire culture, an entire society based on these limitations, these not knowings. And so we tend to have far more rules placed upon us. And in order to stay within those rules, we have learned to behave in a certain way. We've become domesticated, in a way. Carl Jung called it the masks, and so we begin to layer these masks upon ourselves, behaviors, ways of acting, so that we can achieve or get the things that we need, starting very early on. Just what do you do to be fed when you're a small one that can't get their own food? The behaviors that you do to please the adult in order to get the food, and then to get pleasure. So we learn how to manipulate in order to get the pleasures. We learn how to manipulate ourselves in order to be pleasurable to those who are around us, in order to get the job, in order to win the affections of friends, of teachers, of all of our environment, really, our social environment. So these are machinations that are unique to being physical, but not just being physical, but being entranced or being totally duped into fully believing that we are the top of the experiential world of all that is, and that these limitations are ubiquitous, that they are continuous throughout the entire universe, that the entire universe is 3D only. So when we start to embrace consciousness as a much, much larger force that is outside of our ability to even consider, really, to fully understand, then we simply need to merge in a place of trust. And so again, back to Carl Jung, he talks about facing your shadow, and that's what this trust is. And in a very specific metaphor, he says it's like facing your dragon, and now you don't want to slay the dragon. As in so many of our myths and our stories, the knight goes and slays the dragon and gets the gold, or the girl and the gold. But really, that's a twist, because what that is that saying that you stay within the limitations of society, and you stay within the machinations and the illusions of that society perpetuates. And the true goal is to fully incorporate all of who you are, and then bring that as a gift out to all that is. And so, how do you do that? Well, you confront the dragon, you befriend the dragon. The dragon not only guards the gold and the girl, but the dragon is your power. It's, your deepest shadow is your greatest power. And so that's what this dragon is. And so getting the gold, slaying your dragon, is kind of like just stuffing it down for the rewards. And that's when the rewards oftentimes, always just feel hollow in the end. So when you actually confront the dragon, confront your shadow, incorporate your deepest fear, which would be to remove your masks, remove these niceties that you've learned over time in order to get the things that you thought that you wanted at the time, that you thought were necessary, these behaviors, these masks that you thought were necessary for survival itself. And when you trust that you are a being walking hand in hand with the infinite ability to create all that is, in fact, that has such a massive ability that it has been able to close out multiple dimensions of itself, so that we can have this experience down to just the five senses, the three dimensions, and explore, really, I guess, would be the biggest thing, because you've stripped down so much that your natural spiritual tendencies to just expect all that is to come to you feel as though they've been taken away, that they no longer exist. And so deepening your understanding, your trust is necessary. And that's the biggest piece, is trusting that you are this infinite, that you have this capacity, that you and consciousness are one and the same. And so rather than criticizing and complaining that all of life is working against you, and then trying to work within the masks or the machinations that you learned in order to try and overcome cultural limitations, you begin to strip away some of those things, begin to trust more, begin to follow what it is that your heart, your gut, your solar plexus are telling you. And that's consciousness. Awakening, merging within the physical piece of you. That piece that is so much larger, and that piece that is so tactile, so individual. And you begin to not just see it with the mind. That's why I always encourage bringing a bit of awareness into the body, because the body sees, the body knows, the body feels. I mean, what tells the heart to beat? What tells the the cell, the mitochondria, to do what it does. It just happens. What is it listening to? It's listening to some sort of a frequency that is still connected with all that is. And so when you incorporate that is ever present with the thinkingness sees, it can, it brings all the information of the environment to you, but then it tries to solve the problem. And the fascinating thing is that there isn't a problem. It's all that's happening, and it's the flow. So when you're in here, mind sees what is happening. It interprets. You bring it in. This which is here that knows what the flow is helps to bring you what your move is. And so that is connecting with consciousness. That is becoming allies with your greatest power, your dragon. And through that, then whatever riches, the gold, the girl that the dragon was guarding is yours. It's a fascinating paradox, because we want to just go straight for the thing. But what we fail to see is that the thing that we're going straight for is part of the manifestation that came yesterday. And so we are not so much in the flow as in mucking around in the backflow, in the swirl behind it. So when we get into the flow, we get on top and we get ahead of things. And then what comes, it comes, but it isn't the focus of our thinking. It's not the continual strivingness of the wanting. It's the expectation that it always is coming. I guess that's what I have for our message today. I hope you found it helpful, useful. Please, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Like, subscribe, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.